Hello and welcome back to Harlan is in Danger. I'm your host Tom, and today I'm joined as always with my good friend and co-host Mitch.
Hello, I'm also here, and welcome to our card reviews for the Circle Undone, the Secret Name pack. So we're gonna go through the Mythos pack and give you all of our thoughts.
Yeah, and let's just dive right into it because I'm feeling
Do it.
fast. Oops, I gotta actually click on the screen. There we go. Guardian cards this time are pretty easy. It's just something worth fighting for, which is a 3-cost asset that commits for willpower. It's talent traded and has the text something worth fighting for, maybe assigned horror dealt to other investigators at your location. The flavor text, I can't die here, not now, not yet, and 3 sanity soak.
Yep, it's trash.
I think it's pretty okay, but I mean, like, I think it's
better than True Grit.
It's better than True Grit. I definitely play it more. And it kind of builds into that archetype of like taking something for the team that I like in Guardian a lot. So yeah, the 3-cost is a little bit prohibitive, I'll say.
Awful.
But it's slotless. Like there's a reason for. I think at 2-cost it'd be too powerful. 3 for 3 is not bad, especially when you're a Guardian that has a squishy mental capacity for observing horrors. So yeah.
So who have you played this in? Who had enough money to pay for this and a gun
Zoe?
and an ally?
I mean, Zoe,
but she spends her money through her cross to beat monsters.
I mean, yeah, sometimes, but sometimes you don't need to do that because you draw an enemy that has like, or you just draw like one enemy, and it's like, well, I have my entire turn to do
or whatever,
this.
so
Yeah.
you just collect the money.
Yeah.
Okay.
There's reasons to do that. I've played it in a couple others as well. Played it in Diana, who is not a not a Guardian, but I had a lot of fun just taking.
She has off-class Guardian. That makes sense.
And taking horror for the team was pretty good, especially because I had Mystic, which I could use to just heal myself if I took too much. I don't think I did that though. Now that I'm thinking about it, because this doesn't let me do that. I played it in Joe Diamond, actually quite a bit in Joe Diamond. Also off-class Guardian, but just to kind of deal with that, and I played it in Roland as well.
Well, Roland I can totally see because, anything to keep yourself from dying from Rotting Remains is a good card for him. For horror healing, he's interested.
Yeah, and like, I don't know. Yes, Guardians don't have great economy, but most of them have access to some other form of economy that can pay for something that's not just your guns.
Such as?
Off classes.
Okay, I see what you're saying.
Like,
yeah.
I haven't taken it in Mark Harrigan, though maybe I should, because his signature weakness deals horror.
It's probably not bad, but it's like you're just gonna go with True Grit for him because you want the extra.
Yeah, exactly. He's like, yeah. I don't know.
I think the card's trash.
I think it's fine.
3-cost is so bad. It's so bad. Because like I could just take a teddy bear for 2 or for 0.
That's not.
And it's like, yeah, it's my accessory slot, but I just planned for that. I just look at.
But that's not a Guardian card.
Yeah, but like I cannot divorce the 2 cards.
Okay,
because
sure.
I'm like because like I play both of those 2 cards for the exact same reason, and it's I want the sanity soak.
Mm-hmm.
So when you have such a vast disparity in how much it costs in a class who can't afford anything, I'm just like, sorry, this is ridiculous. Like, I just look for a way to insert, like if I'm Tommy, you're never, ever, ever going to play this. You're just going to play the teddy bear. You just use that. You get all the soak you need. You recycle it.
Yeah.
Like, I get the text on this is like, so that you can protect your allies or whatever, but then just take like Brother Xavier. Like, there's plenty of Guardian cards that will let you do that kind of effect. Like, I appreciate that it's there to make the card a little bit more unique.
Yeah.
But yeah, I just think it's like marginally better than the True Grit.
So my thinking with taking this instead of like Brother Xavier or Tetsuo Mori, the other one that helps you soak for the team, is that then you can actually have an ally that does something without having to take charisma. So it actually kind of saves you 3 XP that you need to spend on charisma to get the 2 allies, basically. And I like playing ally light decks, and this lets me do that. Because
Yeah.
I don't really like buying charisma all the time. I like having one ally that does something
Mm.
for me, not for the entire team, and then this lets me kind of still play that support role. So I think there's yeah, it's I'm not saying it's a great card. I'm saying it's a fine card that I wish was a little cheaper, but understand why it's not.
Even if you took Tetsuo Mori or Brother Xavier, though, they're meant to die. They're meant to take enough damage
Yeah,
that they can do the reaction effect after they die. So then you just play your next ally in your new empty slot, so you don't even need permanent charisma.
I more so with
I do hear what you're saying.
Tetsuo. Yeah, I see that, but I think like the thing is
Yeah,
when I draw Tetsuo second after I draw like my main ally that I want to do stuff with,
that sucks.
I don't play him like ever. If I draw this anytime and I have the money for it, I'm like, yeah, I'll probably throw that down just to kind of protect my sanity.
Yeah, I mean, part of my vitriol is just like from never playing the card, and it always like I'm gonna play that card because it's just like more health. Isn't that such a cool effect? And I throw it in my deck, and then it just gets cut by the time I
Yeah,
finally get to the board because
that
I can't.
that
I
happens quite a bit with this card. Yeah.
Okay, at least we're agreed on that.
Yeah. No, that does happen. I agree. Yeah, okay. I think that's all my thoughts on
Yeah.
this card. But let's go ahead and move on to the Seeker card. Go ahead.
Okay, so this is Crack the Case. This is a zero cost event with an intellect icon. It has the insight trait and it is fast. Play after an investigator discovers the last remaining clue at your location. Investigators at that location gain a total of X resources, distributed as you wish. X is the location shroud value. And I'm not going to read the flavor text because it's way too small print for me.
I really could have made these images bigger for this one in particular. There's one card on each slide, just so everyone knows. I just decided to keep these the same size as every other slideshow, so my bad.
That's fine.
This is a good
I'm
card.
also looking at it through Discord, so it's
Yeah,
like shrunken.
yeah.
But yeah, this card's great.
This is a good
It's
card.
excellent.
Yeah, it's just a good card.
It's great because it's yellow, mostly.
Yeah, well, I mean, like it's also just good economy. Like it rewards you for playing the game
Yeah, it is.
and doing what the game wants you to do. Um,
Mm-hmm.
and also, you don't even need to be playing the game. Anyone can be
Yep.
playing the game at your location, and then everyone gets rewarded. Like it's just it's good. Um,
Yep.
I,
Fast emergency cash that you have to work for.
yeah, I think it's
Because,
fair
you
too.
know, yeah,
I
it is fair.
don't think it's like overpowered or anything like that because like there's some decks that I'll take that, but I would rather take Burning the Midnight Oil. With
Mm-hmm.
uh, it's like a good card for like seeker support in a weird way, because you can like
Yeah,
distribute those resources as evenly as you wish. Um, and seekers are pretty low to the ground most of the time, anyways. So it's like, yeah, I don't know.
yeah. Yeah, I only have good things to say about this card. I never take emergency cash with my Seekers anymore. I'll just put this in or something else that's like Seeker specific or whatever
Yeah,
because this one is, it doesn't cost me that action. And yeah, I might lose a resource if I'm on a two-shroud location, but I always get three or more. I get three or four. And like you said, it's fair because, how often do you come across a five shroud value?
yeah,
That's so rare that you're gonna get somewhere between one and four resources, and it's just a matter of how much work you're gonna have to put in to get the clue so that you can pop this off and get your money back.
yep,
And that's gonna happen at a point like if you want the big bucks from the four shroud location, you're gonna have to get those clues, you know, presumably but by spending I guess what you have.
hmm
So like you're gonna deplete your resources for it, and then this will refund you the but it won't give it to you up front. You have to make sure. So if you're kind of like, oh shoot, it'd be great to get Dr. Milan in play, but maybe I'll wait,
yeah,
see if I can get this clue otherwise, and then I can have the resources to play him or something.
yep, yep. Yeah, I think you've said it all. I think you've said all the things about this card.
I have.
It's good. It's good. It's fair. Let's move on to a different card that's less good, or two.
Okay.
So first off we got Sign Magic, which is a 3-cost fast ritual talent asset that commits for a willpower and takes up a hand slot and has the text.
Yeah.
You have one additional arcane slot, which can only be used to hold a spell or ritual asset. Let's start with just talking about this one because I'll get to Banish in a second.
Okay. Well, yeah. I mean, the pause was either way because I mean, so conceptually this card's really interesting. You see it and you go, that's awesome. I could get an arcane slot. I got to swap a hand slot for it, but maybe for a lot of mystics, I think that's very appealing.
Mm-hmm.
But it's just kind of there's so many odd decisions that layer this card that make it kind of unplayable, and like they shouldn't, but they kind of do. Like the fact that it costs 3 resources is like, oof, that's really expensive. But then it's fast, and you're like, I don't know why it needs to be fast.
Yeah.
I mean, I guess that's nice, but like I would rather have just been cheaper,
Yeah.
or to not take up a hand slot. That would have been better. And then it's like has a limitation for spells or rituals, and you're like, I guess, but I mean, I'm probably playing spells or rituals, so I just has anyone ever played this card in the history of Arkham Horror and been like, oh shoot, it's not a spell or a ritual. I used up all my slots.
I actually
I made a
have.
mistake. Like, you have?
Yeah, this
When
is
did this happen?
It was an Edge of the Earth card, Talisman of Protection. It takes up an arcane slot, but it's an item. And I tried to put.
Okay.
I think it like ended up being okay because you can kind of adjust your slots as you need to. But I had this in
Yeah.
play, and I was like, oh, I got one more arcane slot. I can just put down this, and I was like, oh wait, can I? It was. I think it was fine. I think I still am able to because like I
Yeah.
could just say like I had 2 other spell assets in play, and I think I could just say like one of
Exactly,
these
yeah.
takes over the
Okay.
arcane slot. Yeah. But for a moment there, I had to pause, and I guess that's kind of speaking to your point. Like, why, if you have 3 cards in your arcane slots that aren't spell or ritual traded, what's happening?
Yeah, like what is this?
How did that happen?
So interesting.
But I guess it is future proofing. Like, there's a reason.
Yeah.
There's like, it generated some confusion for me in that moment, but then like it was pretty quickly resolved. Like, no, it's okay. Like the shriveling, that's in this sign magic slot, and I'll just put this in my free arcane slot that has no restrictions on it. So I mean, like, I think it's fine. I think that's not the text I really have a problem with. I think you're right though. I do weirdly have a problem with the fast text for the 3 cost, because I feel like that's the exact justification for the 3 cost. It's like, we'll make it fast, and then it can cost 3. But that's oddly bad, because fast cards that cost more are a much higher drain on your economy than like slower cards that cost less, right? Like, because you have 3 actions a turn. If you have 5 resources and this is in your hand, now you have 3 actions and 2 resources, right? Like,
Right.
yeah. It kind
Whereas
of,
if it costs like 1 and it took me an action, that sucks. It's a little slow, but I mean that's kind of what mystics are used to.
Yeah.
I'm okay with taking my time but then I'll have the money to play like a Rite of Seeking or whatever spell I want now. But like I won't be able to do that if I had to pay 3 for this. So it's just like, what?
like, even if it costs
Yeah, I
2,
don't know.
I think even if it costs 2 and was slow,
Yeah, even
I
2.
think I'd be more inclined to play it. I have played with this card before as well. Just like, I've tried it out. I've played most Mystic cards, if I'm being honest. So, and like, it's okay. In the decks that want it, it does work. But it's that fast is really weird, and I think it's very strange to be like griping about it being fast, but you really can see like that's why the card costs more, and it's kind of a trap because of that. Like,
Yeah.
yeah,
Gives you a benefit that you don't want.
yeah, exactly, yeah.
And there's no option to circumvent it in any way. Is it ritual traded?
It is, so it would work with
Uncage the Soul.
Uncage the Soul, but then it would be slow. Well, no, it still does. It still does work with Uncage the Soul.
It does, but then you lose the fast.
But you lose the fast.
Like, more frustrated.
Which is like, it doesn't, like, it's maybe better, but it doesn't feel better.
Yeah. I could see it like, okay, take off the fast, and maybe like, if you wanted to keep that price tag, what if it gave you like, you get +1 willpower for every 2, ritual cards in play, or something like that. I don't know. Just like, because then it would be like, it would start to build into a particular deck.
Yeah.
Right? And you'd be like, okay, now I want more rituals or more spells or whatever. And the more I have in play, kind of like the dragon pole, where that wants more cards of a certain kind on the table for you to like leverage the power of your
Yeah, I think
yeah.
Dragon Pull is definitely like the evolution of this thought process, right? Where it's like it's gonna do something on its own, but also reward you for having more of these things. Um,
Yeah.
and like this kind of does something on its own, but I don't know. It's such a weird card.
Yeah.
I really
I
don't.
forget what the, good.
I don't know how I would make it work. Like,
How
um,
to fix it.
I think like if you took off the fast and like changed everything on here that's a 1 to a 2, like it took up 2 hand slots and gave you 2 extra arcane slots that can only hold spell or ritual assets, maybe that's more something I'd be into. But I feel like that's really good.
Actually, I'd be into that. Like it's 2 cost. It's both hand slots,
I
but
know
then you get
this is
2 arcane
this is
slots.
keeping the 3. This is keeping the 3 cost. I don't think I would. I think if we dropped it down to 2 cost, I would just take it at 2 cost for what it is right now.
I see.
But
I mean, it's a little better. It saves me a resource. Yeah, I guess. I don't know. I wouldn't pay for at least 1 as it stands now. No more than that. But if it, well, that's this. So this, I'm taking your vision and mixing it with my own vision.
mhm.
Because if it had, because like you said, if it has the 2 hands and then it gives you 2 arcane, that's just you leaning into what this card wants you to
Yeah,
do anyways. You've clearly put this in your deck because you don't have hand slot like items. You have spells in your deck, and that's
yeah,
what you want. So if it leaned into it further, or like, I mean, oh, put it this way though, because then it's like, did you make it unique? Because you're probably going to put 2 copies in your deck, and they want you to play 2. So it's like, so now you want 6 resources for me to get
yeah. To get to that point, which is
access
like,
to play
yeah,
2 more spells at like a cost of 3 or more,
yeah,
because spells are expensive.
yeah.
So if it was 2 resources, then that's 4 dispersed throughout the game. I feel like that's a little more reasonable. I could probably work with that.
I don't know. It's a weird card. I don't think it's
It's one of the
good,
strangest cards in the game for sure.
but I want to make it work. Like that's where I'm at with it. It's like I don't think that it works, but I want to make it work how it's written. I want to see like the thought process of. I'm convinced
Agreed.
there is a reason that it costs this much and it's not fast. It's not the fast keyword, but I don't know for certain. So like, yeah. Anyway, let's talk about
Yeah.
Banish, because Banish is cool.
Yeah.
This is a 2 cost level 1 event that commits for a willpower and an agility. It's spell traded and has the text Evade. Use only on a non elite enemy. This evasion attempt uses willpower instead of agility. If you succeed, move the enemy to just evaded to any location in play. If you succeed and a negative symbol token was revealed during this evasion attempt, the enemy does not ready during the next upkeep phase. Importantly, this has been tabooed to include Bless and Curse on the symbols that are listed there. So
Okay.
if you play Taboo, it got a little bit of an upgrade, which
But
I think it actually like really works with that upgrade. Um,
yeah.
and I think before it was like kind of fine because like the ability to move an enemy very far away is pretty good in certain scenarios, um,
Hmm.
especially if they're already evaded. And like evading using your brain once is pretty good, and the cost isn't that prohibitive for this, especially if you're an event slinger mystic. So, I think this is a pretty good card. I like 1 experience spell cards that are events a lot. So,
Hmm.
and I like
Do
this
you
one a
think I
lot.
like this card?
I think you do not like this card, but I will say compare this to Blinding Light, and you'll see like that's like this is a much better version I think than of Blinding Light. Uh, than Blinding Light. Is that what I meant to
Well,
say?
Blinding Light 0 or Blinding Light 2?
Take the average because this is level 1.
I mean, that's fair. It is between the two. If you had regular Blinding Light and you didn't want or couldn't afford Blinding Light 2, you could go with this instead.
Yeah,
And I think you'd probably be in a. I think that would be a fairly wise decision. It does cost you a resource more, but
yeah,
it's pretty much a kill because you get to send that enemy pitch them all the way across the map, and then probably they will not even get to ready
yeah,
for an extra round. So, I mean, it's like everything short of straight up killing them.
yeah, yeah. And like, there's other applications as well. Like, if you have a rogue on your team who wants enemies at their location and you're split up, you can be like, "Cool, go over to that guy. You're evaded for 2 rounds. Rogue, have at having this enemy at your location for 2 rounds."
Yeah.
If you like, yeah, and there's just a bunch of other applications like that. Like, there are reasons to have like an enemy at your location at this point in the game's life, and Banish lets you manipulate that a lot, which is cool. It's a cool valve that you can turn, and I'm glad that it's part of the Mystics kit.
Yeah. It is a cool card, and I think it does a cool effect. I've just never been able to put it into a deck because it's that situation where
Yeah.
you're building your deck. You're like, well, I need my combat spell, I need my ally, I need my soak, I need my movement option, I need blah 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 blah. And you get all the things that you need, and this never slots into something that I think that I need. But if I was to play it and like put it into a deck, I probably would play it against an enemy, and I would get rid of that enemy, and it would be very helpful. Yeah, I actually don't think this is a bad card. I just and that's like, so this is I'm describing the mindset problem that I have of just like eyes on target for what we need, and everything else is just a luxury. And I find that characters like classes like Guardians and Mystics that are slower, like there's more cards that I like playing with them that I will pack my deck full of, and so I have less opportunity for the luxury things that I might be interested to take.
That's so
Whereas
fascinating.
if I'm playing like yeah, because like as a seeker or a survivor, I'm like, well, as a survivor, I'm like, I could just redraw the token, or I could just use corner. That basically takes care of everything. So now I could just put whatever I feel like. I mean, it's not that simple, but there's like a point at which I'm deck building and I go, okay, I have enough to just throw in whatever I feel like. But with Mystic and Guardian, I'm just like, I need, because now I need this card so that way this card will work, and I need this card so that card will work. So it's just like, it gets to be so so low on the totem pole that I'm just like,
That's so weird. I feel the exact opposite way. It's like with Guardian, I see what you're saying. Yeah, yeah. Sometimes it's like, yeah, you need the weapons, then you need the economy, then you need the allies, then you kind of at a certain point you have a 30 card deck, and you're like, oh, I didn't even do anything fun. Sometimes I think I've gotten better.
I didn't do anything fun.
I think I've gotten better with that. But like, honestly, playing Mystic, it's like so much about like the decadence and just taking whatever luxuries you want from me at this point. But I'm just like, I'm so comfortable in this class that I know that I can just take whatever I want and like have that fun trying to puzzle my way out of any situation I get myself into. So, yeah.
That is interesting.
Yeah.
Yeah. So I'm not going to say if it's a good or bad card. I think it's just kind of like, does what the card says. Will you have room in your deck is really the question, which is like an external point. But maybe, especially if you're running like Blinding Light, or if you have a smaller card pool, probably worth putting in. You'll probably play it. It'll probably do its work.
Yeah. I kind of want to replay this card. It's been a while, so maybe this would be a really good card when we get to Edge of the Earth, so maybe I'll try and slot it in then.
Yeah, this would be great in Edge of the Earth.
Yeah. All right. Well, let's move on to our your favorite class, which is Survivors. And this is a fun card for Survivors. It's the Meat Cleaver.
The Meat Cleaver. Yes, this is a 3-cost asset with a willpower icon. It is item, weapon, and melee traded. Takes up a hand slot, and it has the text, for an action you can fight. You get +1 combat for this attack, +2 instead if you have 3 or fewer remaining sanity. If this attack defeats an enemy, you may heal 1 horror. As an additional cost to initiate this ability, you may take 1 horror to have this attack deal +1 damage. I actually hate this card. I don't like it.
I think this is a fun card, but I do not think this is a good card. I love the thematics of this card, and like, I love
it is thematic.
I love the desperate. I love the narrative of the desperate skill suite, and like this card is like, you get better when you're like in a pinch, and I like that archetype in Survivor a lot.
Yeah.
But oh man, is it not good?
Wait, what makes this card not good for you?
You're taking horror to do some consistent damage, and like, yeah, you can heal it, but like, I've gotten into a lot of situations because I like this card. I like playing with this card a lot. This goes in like every Agnes deck I play that wants to use actual weapons in addition to because like with Agnes, this is a 3-cost hit if you can make a hit with it, right? Or a 3 damage hit.
Yeah.
So that's really cool. But I have gotten
But
myself into some real crap situations with this card because I'm taking horror and then I like draw an autofill or I draw like a -4 because I was hoping to be up at enough,
okay.
but and then it's like, do I take the horror again? I'm no longer like healing as often as I'm taking damage. That's not a good place to be
Mm.
in for a player card. Um, and then yeah, I
I
played
don't
it.
suppose you could take Peter Sylvester because you probably need a combat boost at this point.
Yeah, and that's the other thing is like Peter Sylvester does synergize well with this, but only if you have another way to get a combat boost. And I mean, like you can do that through
Yeah.
things like cornered or through skills, committing skills, but I
Yeah.
think like I remember playing this very distinctly in Silas because I basically killed myself with it twice. Being like, oh, I probably shouldn't take this anymore.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's good. I have a dumb reason for not liking this card, and it's just that it seems like it would synergize very well with Carolyn Fern. And I hate that the designers thought to themselves, well, she can't fire a gun, but she can cleaver, because that makes more sense for a psychologist to do. Like, where's the logic in that? She can't use a magic sword. That doesn't make sense.
Well,
That's just
isn't it only
crazy
level
talk.
1 through 5?
It's yeah, level was 1 through 5. So anything at level 0,
So
she
she
can
can take
take.
this, right?
Yeah, so she can take this because it heals horror specifically.
Yeah.
Not because it's a red card, so she shouldn't be able to take it, but it heals horror, so she can take it and use it. But she can't use the enchanted blade, even though that heals horror because that's level 3 weapon,
Oh,
and that
I see, I see, I
supersedes.
see.
So it becomes a battleground between two items that I'm like, so it's like a gripe that has nothing to do with this card, but it does kind of because they're in the same cycle. So I'm like, okay, so you had to have known these two were on the table,
Mm-hmm.
and I just don't see the thematic disparity. If anything, the sword makes more sense for someone like Carolyn to me than the meat cleaver. Like I don't see her using this at all, except to like
So
kind of
okay,
like a joking scenario. You know what I mean?
here is my explanation for this. If I'm remembering
Okay.
the Enchanted Blade 3 correctly, in order to heal yourself, you have to kill the enemy. Oh, that's both actually. Never mind. Never mind. That's both of these. Yeah, those are like the same text, aren't they?
I don't remember
Uh,
how the enchanted blade works, but it's yeah, something like that. I mean, either way, it's similar to this one. It's just I don't know. So they made this like horror healing weapon. It's a meat cleaver, which I agree the thematics do make sense in isolation, and it fits for Survivor really well. I mean, you give this to Ashcan, and that's just like hilarious. It's just this homeless guy with his dog coming at you with a meat cleaver. That works with Agnes too because she's a waitress, and so she just goes in the back and
yeah.
grabs a meat cleaver when the situation gets bad. So there's lots of thematic wins for this one in Survivor. My problem is that I don't think it thematically wins once you take it off class to someone else.
Hmm.
Then it just feels strange, and I'm like, I don't know.
Yeah.
So I've talked about nothing about the text on the card because the text is just like fine. It's a fine card. It's a fine weapon. No, be conscientious of your horror. There you go. That's like all there is to say.
Yeah. Yeah. Learn from my mistakes.
Learn from Tom's mistakes. Yeah.
Yeah. Okay. Well, I don't think I have much more to say about it. I don't know how to convince you that this is okay for Carolyn to take, and the sword is not. I don't think I care that much, but
Yeah, that's fair enough. This
let's.
is my ongoing pet peeve with Arkham. It's probably my biggest pet peeve, honestly, is the Carolyn not being able to take the sword. It bothers me so much.
Oh man,
Yeah, we can move on.
we have to start writing down these pet peeves. That'd be a fun video to go through because I think we have a few of them, don't we? Anyway,
We
anyway,
do.
let's move on to the rogue cards. And this is just Intel Report. I should have said card. Intel Report is a 2-cost event that commits for 2 books. Wow. It has the favor and service traits and has the text "Discover one clue at your location." Pretty good. As a reaction, when you play Intel Report, you can increase its cost by 2 to change "Discover one clue" to "Discover 2 clues," and you can increase its cost by 2 to change "at your location" to "add a location up to 2 connections away."
hmm This is a great card, I think.
I think so too. Like, I think this is the card of its set that's made it past like the Preston wall the most. Like, not
Yeah,
just Preston wants to take this card. Um,
that's a
yeah,
fair point. I very rarely play it though.
I played a lot.
I've
when I play a Cluvy Rogue.
Yeah,
Yeah.
I know everyone loves it. You'd think I would love it, but for some reason, it's just anytime I consider it, I don't feel like my deck will have enough strong enough economy to use
Mm.
it. But that's also because I have a history of having poor economy with rogues.
Mm. Yeah, you've never
So
played
that's like my problem.
the well connected. That's right. We talked about that. I think a couple,
Hmm.
just last episode, right? Yeah, last card review because that
Who
was in the
knows?
deluxe box. Yeah. Um, yeah, I mean, like this is a good card for that well connected archetype for when you are ready to like spend down a little bit. And be like,
Yeah,
hey, I can just get 2 clues for an action, or hey, I can just get that 1 clue at that 6 shroud location, and then you can crack the case and give me back 6 resources. You know?
that'd be cool.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Oh, it's good. um,
Yeah.
yeah, I think it's a really worthwhile card. I think it's just valuable. Like, it doesn't really have a lot of
It is.
nuance to it. It's just versatile and good.
Yeah, it's got lots of flexibility. The more money you have that you can spend, the more it will give you.
Yeah.
So yeah, good card.
Yep. I also actually, in terms of balancing, I really love that like the base effect for 2 cost is a little below the curve. If
Yeah,
you do anything for 4 cost, it's like way above the curve. That feels really good.
agreed.
Yeah, and then
Yeah,
you can even go to 6 cost and just be like, ooh, that's good, but it's
yeah.
6 money, right?
You
So it's like,
snag 2 clues on a 4 shroud location, like 2 locations away from you.
yeah,
You're like, wow, that must feel great. Can you pull that off?
yeah. Oh, it does. Okay, we got one more slide to talk about because sorry, rogues, but you're a little boring this pack. We have the multi-class cards, which
Yes.
I guess hopefully we all know how these work. Basically, if you can take one of the classes, you can take this card. I think
Yes.
that's how that works. Yeah. Um,
Hmm.
so we have 5 cards to talk about. There's the sword you were talking about earlier, down there at
This
the
is the one
bottom.
Carolyn can take,
This
though.
is the
I
one
don't.
Carolyn
I have
can
no
take.
beef with this
You
sword.
have no
It's a
beef
cool
with this
sword.
sword. This sword's fine. Cool. Let's start with the 45 Thompson, though, which is a 6 cost item, weapon, firearm, illicit traded asset that commits for 1 combat, I think is the technical name for that thing, and has the action spend 1 ammo, fight. You get +2 for this attack and deal +1 damage, and it has 5 ammo. And takes
And
up
it
2
takes
hand
up 2
slots.
hands.
Yeah, which is hidden.
Yeah.
Good call.
Hmm. I think that's a cool card. It's expensive, but you get +2 combat, +1 damage, 5 shots.
Yeah. There is so little
It's
to say
strong.
about this card, actually. It's just good. Yeah.
Yeah, if you're the fighter and you don't need to worry about your other hand slot whatsoever, then there's a strong incentive, I think, to just pick this. I mean, even just round 1, gain a resource and then play this.
Honestly, yeah.
That's gonna sweep up so many enemies. It also enables people like skids who can't fight very well with their guns. Like it gives them more of
Yeah.
a cushion to work with.
Yeah. Good card. Okay. Gonna blaze right through these. So next we have Tennessee Sour Mash, which is a 3 cost item illicit traded asset and commits for a willpower. Uses 2 supplies as a lightning bolt, exhaust Tennessee Sour Mash, and spend 1 supply. You get +2 willpower for the skill test on a treachery card. And then you can't see it, but there's an action ability which lets you discard Tennessee Sour Mash to get +2 to fight an enemy. I don't think you deal any damage for this attack, or extra damage, but you might. I don't think you do.
I don't think you do.
Pretty sure you don't. Gonna just look that up real quick, cheekily. But you talk about this while I'm doing that.
Yeah, so the Tennessee Sour Mash sucks. It's really bad. You only get to use it twice. It only gives you +2.
Wow.
And then you could throw it for 8 damage.
I like this card.
It's awful.
We're gonna have a disagreement. But first, I should make sure that it doesn't actually do the. Oh my god, how do I spell Tennessee?
I like the theme. It's a cool, like
Oh, sorry. You
it's
get
got a cool title.
+3 combat for this attack.
Okay.
I love this card. This is such a good card. What are you talking about? It's a slotless item, which is always just good to have. It uses supplies, which is good to have. And basically, you get a couple guts that you get to use whenever you think they're convenient. And then once it's empty, you can just hit something with it. And you'll probably hit because you get +3 combat for the attack.
But you hit for 1 damage, right?
Yeah. but it's still good.
I'm not impressed.
It has the
That's
thing.
the reason I've never played it. Is it just every time I read through it, I'm like, that just does not sound like that will really
Okay,
pay off.
that's totally fair. The thing I will say about this is it works with the classes that are printed on it as both rogue and survivor card because it really fits that survivor style scrappiness of just like this card does multiple things, kind of like lantern or shovel, right? Like
Yeah.
you're using it to do two different things, and then discarding it, or
Yeah.
one thing and then discarding it to do another thing. But it also kind of really does fit that rogue style of like, this is how you're protecting yourself against against like the mythos is just like by drinking, and hoping that
Yeah,
you
I
get through
know.
it.
Yeah, the theme is hilarious.
The theme's really good, and it's also solid. Like it really is like that. That's actually a very nice addition for it. Yeah, I don't know. I just like this. I like it a little bit more in Survivor. I'll give you that. But I've taken it in Rogue quite a few times and been pleased with it, especially if you are like a one or two willpower rogue, which is I guess most of them, and you just use it for like frozen and fear protections. That's worth it.
Is it though? Because that's like a guts, and I don't pack guts in one or two willpower rogues.
I don't know what to tell you
I just
then.
take the hit.
No, you know what you do is you have me commit cards to your frozen and fear tests.
I sometimes do that as well, but I do that. But there's actually like a chance. I mean, I guess there's scenarios where, yeah, like I feel like someone could go through the footage of me playing like Finn and other rogues and like have me eat my own words. I think that's entirely viable. But I also like if the card pool. So part of that is the limited card pool that we play in
Hmm.
because there's definitely a number of cards. Like I would have built that Finn deck totally differently. I would have thrown in tons of stuff to like what was it, the one where you can cancel treacheries,
Hmm.
or like there's a number of things I would have just thrown in there to like, or there's the one where you can like you put curses in the bag and then it's like you auto pass. I would have
Yeah.
done stuff like that just because I'm like, if I want to pass it, I will put the card in to pass it. But it's kind of like I need it that those are like every other pack you get one, or
Hmm.
every other cycle you'll get like a card that contributes to that narrative. So, or that archetype. So yeah, I've not always. So like I guess like do take it into context when we're playing like regression challenge. We do have like kind of a weird mix of cards that we have access to, so that does
Yeah.
change what you actually use. Um, yeah, I feel like I can kind of see what you're saying though. Tennessee Star Mash, 3 resources, you use it twice, but then the third use is an attack and it's something different. So, yeah,
Yeah.
yeah, it's probably not too bad. I also don't really like cards that tell me to do two different things though. It's
Oh,
like
I
you can
love cards
block
like that.
treacheries, but then you could fight, and it's like I don't want that. I'm like I just what are you here to do? And then I'll find another card to do the other thing.
See,
But you
I
probably
love
like it
cards
because
like
it's
that.
creative.
I like versatility in my kit too. I like to be able to
Okay.
say like, oh no, someone needs to club that cultist over the head, and typically I would only have 3 punch, and this like puts me up 3. Like, and like
Yeah.
sometimes I won't get all the value out of it, but like I that's okay.
If
Like,
he's just a 1 health Doom cultist, yeah, you
yeah,
could go over there and
yeah,
pop
just
him over the
bash him with a
head.
bottle. It's great. Yeah. And like it saved my life in that sense, right? Like I've
Yeah.
passed a I don't know, like a
I
dissonant.
love that the
Not
booze
dissonant
saved your
voice.
life.
It has booze saves your life in this game. It's weird and not necessarily thematic in any way, but anyway. Okay, moving on. Let's talk about Grizzly Totem
Well,
because
let me pick up a couple cards because I
okay,
feel
yeah,
like you're having to do a lot of reading. So, okay, the Grizzly Totem. This is Survivor and Seeker. It's a 3 cost asset with an agility icon. It's item and charm traded, and it takes up an accessory slot. And as a reaction, after you commit a card to a skill test, you exhaust the Grizzly Totem. That card gains another instance of one of its skill icons of your choice. You just get a little bit of juice out of your skill.
I don't really like this card. Like I think
It's pretty weak, isn't it?
yeah, I think of all the cards that are on this slide, this might be my least favorite. At least taking the taboo into mind of Scroll of Secrets, which we'll get to in a second. Um,
Yeah.
it's just, I think it's a little bit
You
expensive
get
for what
one
it
once
does.
a turn.
Yeah,
Maybe you're not supposed to be committing skill cards constantly, and that's why they're trying to talk it up. They want you to do like one card every turn.
Mm-hmm.
But I guess you're not. How many times are you testing on a turn is the other question, because you're probably testing like twice, one in Mythos and then the other. But I mean, sometimes you have turns where you do like three. You're like, I'm just getting clues this turn, so or I'm just fighting this guy. So test, test, test.
Yeah,
So yeah, it's kind of like I feel like it should just cost 2 resources, and I think it would have been fine.
that's honestly exactly my thought process. It's like, if this costed 2, I'd probably take it a lot more. Yeah. Um, as it is, like, it's just a little too expensive to take kind of at all. Because, like, the real, like, use of it is, like, covering for the -4 when you're, like, 3 up, right? Like, that's I guess.
Yeah,
Like,
yeah, yeah.
but at that point, what if you just took something that, gave you a passive boost, right? Like, there's a little bit of versatility in
Okay,
this,
yeah.
but it's only once per turn. And I
And then you'll
feel
need
like,
a skill in your hand. Is it? It
yeah,
is only skill cards, right?
when you commit a card,
No, any card.
any card,
Any
yeah.
card. Okay.
So like,
Okay,
there's
that's a little better.
there's a little bit of like flexibility to it, but it's once a turn. Like, I don't know. Like, if it had like an extra text on it, and I think it does get this the leveled up versions. Like, if you this test fails, like, ready it or
Oh,
draw,
okay.
yeah,
Yeah,
something
ready
like
or
that.
whatever. Yeah.
Because as it is, you're spending like your accessory spot, you're spending 3 resources, and you're spending at least one more card to get the benefit. And it's just,
Yeah.
I don't know. If they are skill cards, yeah, they're protection against your skill cards not doing the thing that like only triggers if you succeed the test.
If you succeed, yeah, that's true.
But is that worth it for 3 resources? I think it'd be worth it for
You,
2.
yeah, I think you've covered all of the benefits like perfectly, like in all the like every scenario imaginable of where what this card is doing, and yeah, just that free cost is so sharp.
Yeah,
Yeah, you did it perfectly.
and I think like it has the item trait, and so when I see a card with the item trait,
Hmm.
I play a lot of geared up. So my mind goes to like, would I play this if it was 1 cheaper in my opening hand? And like the answer is no, not really. Like, if I could get it to cost 1 with geared up, I'd probably play it.
Yeah.
But that's, yeah.
Oh, that would be worth it. I would actually be interested to play geared up with something like that. That sounds cool.
Yeah.
'Cause, yeah, I could sneak that down.
But yeah, I think it's just a little bit like the cost is too great for what it is. I guess if you can get the discount in some way, maybe well prepared or not well prepared. What is it? Is it well prepared? Ever vigilant? No. What is that damn card
What
called?
card is?
The one that lets
Which one?
in Guardian that lets you play 3 cards, discounting them each by 1 at a time.
Oh, that is a ever vigilant. Yeah, that's
Yeah,
ever vigilant.
yeah. Maybe with like Ever Vigilant, but like then I'm playing someone who has access to Ever Vigilant, which kind of limits my choices. I guess Tommy, Will Yorick, maybe. I don't think Will Yorick wants this. I don't think Tommy wants this. I don't know who wants this. Um, yeah, I
I
don't know.
mean,
I don't
Will
know.
York could commit a card like an asset and then play it from his discard pile, but I just don't think York is very interested in that because assets typically don't have great skill icons.
Yeah,
So you're only committing that out of desperation, which I
yeah.
guess fits the survivor thing, but also like it feels more survivor than it does secret to me.
That's because
Secret
it costs
player, I mean,
3.
it's because it got three.
I don't know.
Yeah, maybe.
I don't know. I
Well,
think.
but I always think of Min when I see this card because she can add an extra icon, and it's like so then she gets 2, like one time in her turn she can pop it up to 2
Mhm.
more, like to add an unexpected courage to anything. But that's probably excessive, or maybe it's supposed to duplicate her ability so she can use her because she can only do it once per investigator per round, right?
Yeah, but that's still more than
So she
once
does
per
it.
turn. Like, I mean,
Yeah,
like,
once
and I
per
don't want it to
per
step
totem.
on. I don't want it to step on her toes at all. I think like I wouldn't want to
Yeah,
change the effect. I think the cost is just too much. I think that's just where I am with
yeah,
it.
agreed. Too
And
much.
too much. Okay.
Scroll of Secrets.
Yeah. Why don't you read scroll of secrets?
I will. So this is a Seeker and Mystic card. It is a 1 cost asset with an intellect icon. It is item and tome traded, and it takes up a hand slot. And it has uses 3 secrets, As an action, exhaust Scroll of Secrets and spend 1 secret. Look at the bottom card of any investigator deck or the encounter deck, then either discard that card, add it to its owner's hand, place it on the bottom of the deck, or place it on top of the deck. And the taboo version of this card turns the action into a free trigger, so you just tap it once per turn. And that is what the card should have been. This is probably the best taboo move I think I've seen. This just feels like it was printed wrong.
The taboo on this card is what made me start playing taboo. It was like, I want to play this card, I don't want to pay an action for it. I will just try a game taboo, and then I liked it, so I was like, cool, I'm going to do that now. I think this is like the biggest proponent, proponent, I think that's the right word, of saying, hey, use the taboo list. This and maybe like ritual candles now. It's
one of the biggest for sure.
It's like a good card. It's not like a great card, but it's a good card with the taboo in mind. Like, it's because it does something that no other card can do, which is like help you get rid of your weaknesses, or help you to find a card that's at the bottom of your deck. Like it's very useful. And that's why they gave it an action cost. It's just that action cost is so hard. It's like hard to spend an action to draw a card, because effectively that's what you're doing.
That's immediately what it translates to, and then you go, well, that sucks.
And there's
I'm not going to spend an action just to draw a card.
Yeah, because I can already do that. I don't need Scroll of Secrets to do that.
Yeah, I can already do that. Yeah.
And like there's some nuance that comes into play. Like if it is a bad card, you can be like, oh cool, I won't draw that. Instead, I'll discard it. But that's 19 times out of 20, you're just going to draw a card with this. I think where it is now with the fast, and I guess we're just talking about the taboo on this card, but like it being a free action is just so helpful if you have a bad weakness, because you can look at the bottom card of your deck and be like, this is a good card, I'm going to put it on top of my deck so I know I don't draw my bad weakness, and I can set myself up to prepare for that. If it's your weakness, you just discard it. Like, it's just a really good card to be like, I'm going to be safe from my weakness for 3 turns.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
Yeah. I feel like I would probably just play Alyssa Graham if I wanted to worry about my weakness. I would just check my deck, and then... Actually, she doesn't check your deck. She checks the encounter deck. Or
she checks the top card of your deck or the encounter deck. So she does the top card, this does the bottom card. Yeah.
Okay.
And I mean, like, honestly, she is better, but she also costs 4 and takes up an ally slot, so...
Well, I build more around her, yes, but, I mean... it's just that's when I get that luxury of being able to do that. Because I don't know, I only get to use this 3 times. What are the odds I'm even going to see my weakness in the bottom 3 cards of my deck? And if that's the case, then...
Generally, if you get an early 1 in 20...
Deck out.
Like, that's actually the case, is generally 1 in 20. But, like, I think this does more than it looks like it does, because if you do have a really bad weakness, you just can put a card on top, and you can delay drawing that weakness. And it does help. More than, like, it looks on the surface. So it's like, there's a reason that they put it as an action cost at first. It wasn't a good reason, and they said, and I think they acknowledged that, and were like, with the taboo, like, okay, we're gonna make this fast, right? Like, and now it's a playable card. Now it's a pretty good card. Yeah. It's still not great by any means, because it's mostly just fast draw a card, after paying a resource and a card and an action, which conveniently 3 things that could have been just cards. So I mean, 1 cost to draw 3 over 3 turns isn't bad. It's not bad, but it's definitely not good.
Like, no, it's not.
Yeah, if this was just fast exhaust roll so you could draw 1 card, like, you wouldn't play this card.
No.
Yeah. Okay.
I wouldn't do that.
Yeah, it wouldn't be worth it. Like, the extra stuff does become worth it. The extra stuff is what makes it. I do
hear what you're saying. With the taboo, I think I'd be far more inclined to take it. I mean, it's a cool, interesting little effect.
Yeah.
But it's just, as it is, it's like they're 2 separate cards, because as it is now, it's just like impossible. But yeah. Okay, so Enchanted Blade is a Mystic and a Guardian card. It's 3 cost asset with a combat icon. It's item, relic, weapon, and melee traded. Takes up a hand and an arcane slot. It uses 3 charges. As an action, you can fight. You get +1 combat for this attack. As an additional cost to initiate this ability, you may spend 1 charge to empower the blade. If you do, you get +1 combat, +1 damage for this attack. So it's basically a knife, but you have 3 charges on it, and you can make it be like a 45 for 3 turns.
Yeah, I've a little bit fallen out of love with this card.
Oh, really?
Yeah. I think it's okay. I like it. I don't know. Like, I think it's a pretty good card. It basically has the versatility of, like, you can do 1 damage or you can spend a charge to do 2 damage. And that's pretty good for 3 cost. And, you know, yeah. But I'm just really not, I don't know. I don't really love it anymore. It doesn't really make it into my decks, and I'm kind of tired of it. I kind of don't want to play with this card anymore, even though it has, like, my 2 favorite colors in the corner.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Well, it's not a very flashy card. It's a pretty straightforward combat option. When you compare it with the 45 Thompson that we just went over, that's 3 resources more, but you only get 2 extra shots out of it, and it's the same effect. You get +2 combat and deal +1 damage. Like, I just pretty much ignore the knife ability that you can stab with it for 1 damage. I mean, yeah, on occasion I might do that if I had to, but for the most part, I'm just using this to spend the 3 charges and deal the 2 damage 3 times over, and then I'll just discard it to something else. I mean, it takes up the same number of slots. They're different than the 45, but it's still 2 slots. So for 3 resources less, then I don't have, I get 2 shots less, but that seems like a fair trade-off at that point. And it's also a relic, which sometimes comes into play when you're dealing with ghosts and things.
Yeah, sorry, I just had to... Someone's mowing their lawn right outside my window, so I just had to turn myself down. Hopefully that wasn't too bad, but...
Oh. Gotcha.
Yeah.
Lawnmower,
yeah. The perils of recording audio at nighttime, actually. It's dark out. I don't know why they're mowing the lawn, but it's fine.
Yeah.
Yeah, okay.
I hear you, the card's boring,
yeah.
But it's just, I think it's effective.
Okay, you know what? I'm going to let you... I think I'm done talking about this card. I'm going to let you finish talking, and then you can do the wrap-up, because this is a very loud lawnmower, and I'll just
take me to the next screen then, because
I think that's it. That's it, actually. That's the entire video. So yeah, you can do the wrap up, and just say my part of the sign off too.
Okay, I'll just say our part of the sign off. Then, all right. Well, thank you all for joining us. This has been all of our thoughts on the Secret Name Mythos pack of cards. Tune in next week to see us play some more Circle Undone. But until then, stay out of danger.